Welcome to the Reddit library. Today we'll be looking at r/AskReddit, where user Hideon asked, "What were some times you died inside?" I received a set of boxes in the mail with no return address on a Monday morning. When I opened the boxes, I started noticing stuff that is my mom's, her handwriting on notes. This seems to be some sort of care package from my mom. Was in college at the time. As I opened more, there were all these documents. I was confused, then I found the note. My mom committed suicide but planned it all out. She sent me a list of things to take care of now that she's gone. Now I hate getting packages. Think I am late and this will get buried, but when I was in high school I used to swim competitively, so speedos, hat, etc, etc. One morning session I was running a bit late and got changed super quick and went out to the poolside with my gear, getting ready for the training session, when one of the girls, who I happened to fancy at the time, informed me that one of my testicles was hanging out the side of my speedo. I thought it felt a little breezy as I ran out of the changing room, but never crossed my mind what had happened. I look back and laugh about it now, but my god, the embarrassment at the time. I still wonder how many others saw and didn't say anything. I had a customer who was holding and examining an awkward, fragile, and expensive item with one hand. I asked her to please hold it with two. She turned to look at me. She only had one arm. You know, out of all the great answers in this thread, this is the one that actually made me laugh out loud. I can almost picture her face as she turns around. Turn beet red, mumble out an apology, go take a bathroom break till she leaves. I help coordinate Medicaid transportation to appointments. I had a really rude client on the phone yelling that his ride wasn't there. I put him on hold, called the driver, he is sitting out front. I switch back over, the client is still yelling. I said, "Sir, just look outside, he's right there. It had been a bad day and I learned my lesson from this. Please keep that in mind." He says, "I can't. I'm blind." Sure as heck, his file says blind. Now I don't lose my temper on the phone. 5th grade spelling bee. I made it to the school-wide level, which was the 3rd round in. First I had to beat my own class, then beat the other 5th grade classes, and next was the whole school. My first word was biscuit, easy. My second word was soccer, also easy. Except for the fact that I was a bit nervous being up on stage with the whole school in attendance, including my mom who was there for support. It got in my head a little bit. I heard soccer and thought, okay, this is easy. Remember, there are 2 C's in soccer. 2 C's, 2 C's. Step up to the microphone. C-O, instantly knew what I did. Facepalm myself in front of everyone. Dead inside. Despite the realization and the fact I had already lost, my brain kept the letters mixed up and I spelled the rest of the word S-S-E-R. Kosser. Any Kosser fans out there? Or as you may call it in your country, Buttfall? At a company event. As we left, my colleagues were nowhere to be found as I walked outside, so I waited there. Turns out they were taking a group photo without me. My friends did this at prom. Interviewing a potential student who is interested in my school. He has a huge green circle around his eye. "Wow, quite a black eye. What did you do?" "I was born like this." "Oh wow, I did this once at my job when I was in high school. I worked with this guy for 3 years, and one day he had this huge cut all the way up his arm. I asked him what happened, and he looked down awkwardly and told me he had psoriasis and was having a flare-up. All I could say was, 'No way, so does Kim Kardashian. You could be famous.' Made almost 0 sense and I felt so bad. He was so cool about it though. I'm sure that kid wasn't too upset. He knows what's up." Once bought a bottle of Pepsi in a meal deal but didn't have space to put it in my bag. In my infinite wisdom, I decided to pour the contents into my reusable water bottle so I wouldn't have to carry both bottles. It was one of them bottles that has the straw in it and you flip the top up when you want to drink. Opened it in a little hardware store later in the day and the gas had built up in the bottle and it spurted out like a water gun all over the wall and ceiling. I was so embarrassed and tried my best to clean it up for them, but all the staff could do was laugh. One of them told me I stood in the perfect spot for the CCTV to pick it up and he would be watching it back later. Edit. I'm so glad that it turns out I'm not the only idiot who has done something like this. I went to an interview once where one of the 2 people interviewing me asked if I knew French. I said I knew core French, so they decided to conduct the interview completely in French. I can understand when someone speaks to me. I can read and write fluently in French, but I can't for the life of me speak French. It was so bad that one of the interviewers got up and left halfway through and didn't come back. Needless to say, I didn't get the job. Edit. I was drenched in sweat by the end of it. Never forgetty. Edit. I'm not trying to criticize or hate on French people. It was just a sweaty situation I slipped myself into that forever changed me. I have become one with the cringe. 6th grade all-day field trip to SeaWorld Orlando. Surprise period through my white shorts. All the moms who wanted to help only had tampons. I was 11 and I had no idea how to use them. There ensued an embarrassing crash course. I was devastated until random dad saved the day by giving me his windbreaker to tie around my waist and told me to go have fun. Thanks, random field trip dad, you saved the day. What a great story of human kindness. Not all heroes wear capes. Windbreakers are twice as useful. Having to repeat a clever off-the-cuff joke because the person was focusing on their phone. Ouch, don't repeat it. The mannerless oaf doesn't deserve to hear your joke. Just say, you should have been listening, dude, and laugh. One night after going to a concert with one of my friends and I dropped him off at his house. As he was getting out of the car, he started looking for something. When I asked him what he was looking for, he said, I think I lost my weed. He had about an eighth left in a baggie, and gave up after looking around for a bit, concluding he lost it at the show. Cut to 10 minutes later, and I, on the way home, got pulled over for not coming to a full stop at a stop sign. As the cop approached the car, the thought of my friend's lost bag crossed my mind. The cop went through the usual routine, asked for my license and registration, asked where I had been that evening, have I had anything to drink, is there anything in the car he needed to know about. I answered everything flawlessly, but then as he's standing there, I see something catch his eye as he's looking in, and he shined a flashlight inside on it and asked, what's that? I died inside when I looked over and saw, perfectly framed in the spotlight, my friend's bag of weed on the passenger side floor. How he didn't find it while looking around, I'll never understand. Somehow, I was able to articulate my case that it wasn't my weed but my dumbass friend's well enough that he took pity on me and just confiscated it and let me off with a warning for that, plus a $70 ticket for the stop sign. Do you think the cops ever keep it and blaze up? Just a side note, either this guy's car is a mess or his friend is basically blind. Either way, I'm glad this person got off with just a warning. This cop must have been pretty cool. I crochet and my old boss at work asked me for a scarf. He requested lilac, which I thought was odd, but he was super insistent and even sent me a color chart pointing out the exact shade he wanted. I bought the yarn and made him a scarf, but then ran into him and mentioned the scarf again, and he started cracking up saying he was joking. Definitely embarrassing, but I'm glad I didn't actually bring it with me and give him the scarf, only to find out he was being a jerk. I wound up giving it to another coworker who was watching the whole thing play out, and she was super appreciative. God, what a massive jerk. Haha, yes, what a funny joke. I definitely love spending literal hours making things you don't actually want. Being 45 minutes into a 1-hour drive to a meeting to realize you left the main reason for the meeting at home. Man, I felt this. I drove nearly 1 hour through the rush hour traffic just to realize at my destination that I now have to do it all again. Yay, let's waste 3 hours. I was supposed to fill in for the coach of my son's soccer team this weekend, but plans changed. This morning, I told my son I wouldn't be coaching his team on Saturday. He said, good. Dead inside. I've told this story before, but there was a time when I knew I was coming down with what I was sure was going to be an absolute bastard of a cold. Already beginning to feel a little fuzzy in the brain, I decided to make myself some chicken soup in advance to get me through the worst of it. I chopped some carrots, chopped some onions, threw in a chicken carcass, and over the course of about 4 hours made the most bomb stock you could imagine. Then my dumb self poured it through a colander directly into the sink. It took me a good 30 seconds before I realized what I'd done. Then I just sat on the kitchen floor for about 10 minutes, gazing at the opposite wall and wishing real life had a Control-Z function. That time I left school while chatting to friends and spotted my mom's car, got in said car and uttered the usual, thanks for picking me up, mom, only to realize that it was not in fact my mom's car, but a complete stranger and their family. Were they good sports about it at least? I kinda sat there for a moment staring while my brain came to the decision that yes, this is indeed the wrong car. Perhaps I should get out? The dad just said, wrong car, and I left and pretended that nobody saw my horrifying mistake. When I was about 9, I was in a school assembly, all 400 students and all teachers. At our school's assemblies, the students sat cross-legged on wooden floors in the sports hall. Well, I had to fart, and I assumed it would be quiet. It was not. It ended up being extremely loud and was amplified by the wooden floor. My first serious, real relationship, living with the girl and all that. She was basically a TA at the time and told me about this guy in her class that she thought I'd get along with well. He's just like you. I meet the guy and sure enough we were eerily alike. Then she calls me at work one day, says she's working on a paper, and asks me some odd questions about STDs. Her questions were strange and I didn't understand why this paper was so urgent that she felt she needed to call me at work. I got home, looked through her phone, and found where they'd been sleeping together. That stuff hurt. I was in a busy post office with my daughter who was 3 at the time. I was wearing track pants and going commando. I was talking to the clerk and my daughter pulled my pants down right to my ankles. I thought I was going to die of embarrassment. The entire lineup of people behind me saw my bare butt. Do you have any embarrassing stories you want to share? Leave it in a comment below for a chance to be featured in an upcoming video. Make sure to subscribe for more from the Reddit library. See you soon!